Joining me here on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line, it's last week or 2 weeks ago, we had Nolan Ryan on the program. He's number one all-time on the all-time strikeouts list. Now we've got number two on that list, and he is a Baseball Hall of Famer who is a 10-time All-Star, 4-time Cy Young Award winner, and he's one of the legends that fans will have a chance to play with in MLB the Show 22.
Oh, Rich,
Randy Johnson.
you're slighting me as Cy Young. I'm 5-time Cy Young, but that's okay.
Oh my gosh! Well, listen, I can only go with what the folks put in front of me here because I forgot how many Cy Youngs you had. 5 times.
I got one. Last I counted, I got 1 in Seattle and 4 in Arizona, so that would be 5. But maybe they were just saying the 4 that I had in Arizona. I'm not sure.
No, let me check on this. No, I'm somebody's about to be fired, Randy. So
the heads are going to roll.
That's the way I roll. That's the way I operate. Yeah, nobody crosses me like that.
Anyways,
how are you, Randy?
I'm doing great. I'm doing wonderful, yeah.
Fantastic. So let me just jump into what the here and now is. The number of times I keep hearing about, Randy Johnson was there taking photographs of something. I've lost track. So what are you up to, and how often are you out, with your camera doing your thing, Randy?
Well, before baseball became a real thing in my life, I was going to USC, and I studied photojournalism, and so that's where my photography kind of began. And then, obviously, 4 years in the minor leagues and 22 years at the major league level, there wasn't a lot of time for photography. And so when I retired in 2009, I started to, dust off the camera equipment, relearn how to use a camera again. And then since then, I've gone on numerous USO tours, to support our men and women that are around the world, and then just on a lot of trips in general, and concerts, Africa, various things like that. So nothing is a set schedule for me, but in the last couple of years, there really hasn't been a lot going on just because of the COVID.
Right. So what do you want to take pictures of or document that you have not had an opportunity to do yet, and you're like, you know what, I'd like to be on the sideline or at a certain spot. You said concerts. Like, what would you what would you like to do?
I've been pretty fortunate that I've been able to go to I had some incredible access for Billy Joel show up in Seattle at Safeco Field, the same concert here in Arizona, and had all access. Elton John, the same kind of thing, just kind of don't knock anything over. Step on any cords and disconnect the power lines. But just have had that ability to take those kind of pictures, and then in exchange, if they need something from me for social media or something like that, a website, then I'm more than happy to reciprocate after getting the access that they've allowed me to have. And then, motorsports and travel. I think the greatest trips I've gone on have probably been to Africa, been to Ethiopia. I've trekked through the mountains in Rwanda to see the silverback gorillas, and then naturally just been over to the Serengeti and the Masai Mara to watch the Great Migration a few times. So there's a lot of places in this world that I'd like to go, a lot of places that I haven't been yet, and a lot of times I just find interesting places by other photographers and then start searching it out.
I love it. Randy Johnson here on the Rich Eisen Show. How do you get access at Safeco? Who do you know? You know somebody there? I don't understand. How do you get to...
I don't.
Come on. You don't just show up and say, I'm Randy Johnson, no matter what's going on at Safeco?
Come on. I guess... if the kingdom would have been there, I probably would have had better access. But that's been knocked down for many years now.
Got it.
But, I just really enjoy. I think the transition into retirement now for quite a while now, since 2009, has been made a little bit easier, simply because I have something that I can enjoy that takes up some of my time. I also have a place over at the beach, and it's not out of the norm for me to have a camera in my hand and be taking pictures of the guys surfing there or over at the wedge when the swells are pretty big. So it's really limitless, with travel or going out in the ocean and seeing whales or, things like that. That's kind of the stuff that I'm looking forward to doing this summer.
It's Randy Johnson, Baseball Hall of Famer here on the Rich Eisen Show. And you mentioned how, you were into photography for a long time until baseball became a thing for you. So how did baseball become a thing for you? I'd imagine that youth managers or coaches and youth sports kind of push you towards basketball. Was that never an option?
I did play high school basketball and baseball, and it was fun at the time for 3 out of the 4 years. And then when I got a scholarship to go to USC, it was theoretically a half basketball, half baseball, but I essentially was just playing the 3 years that I played there at USC for Rod Dato. It was all for baseball. And I think, I still hadn't come into my own during college. And then I signed with the Montreal Expos, and then 4 years at the minor league level, still trying to gain some control and consistency with my mechanics, and then eventually got called up in Montreal. And during all this time, there's the biggest hindrance at that time, but also it was a double-edged sword. The biggest attribute was my height and my leverage and my ability to throw 95 to 100. It was just a matter of becoming consistent and not, and trying to understand and get it harnessed. That was probably the biggest challenge for me, and it took several years into the major leagues. And so you can imagine it was always something that was, I was trying to keep under control.
So what clicked? What helped you click? Do you remember when you clicked?
I think there was moments of real highlight games for me that was very encouraging, and then you go back out and 5 days later, as a starting pitcher's schedule is, and then you don't have that same success, and then you start questioning your ability and all that. But I think eventually, inevitably, in the Kingdome, my home for 10 years in Seattle, I had a nice conversation with Tom House and Nolan Ryan, and I think it was probably being in the American League West at the time, and Tom House being a former USC Trojan, I think he took the time to obviously see some mechanical flaws that I still had that hadn't been corrected in high school, college, 4 years in the minor leagues, or even the first couple of years in Montreal or in Seattle. And it was one small little thing that they were going to show me when Nolan threw a bullpen session in the Kingdome, and it was simply falling on the ball of your foot, your landing leg. And what I was doing, I was landing on the heel of my foot, and that would inevitably make my momentum when I was falling towards home plate or trying to fall towards home plate, my momentum would be turning because my heel would be twisting, and I would be falling off towards the third base side. So inevitably they taught me and showed me how to land on the ball of my foot, and then naturally my momentum went towards home plate, and I was able to, have everything follow and go towards home plate. And I wasn't losing my arm angle, and my velocity was staying the same, and it just became very impactful. One small little thing like that was really what I was looking for, inevitably, to remain consistent on those games that occasionally I would have. Those games became more consistent, and I really actually started having a lot of fun in the game when I was able to see my ability, and then I just tried to get more out of my ability by understanding the game itself and how to pitch. But really, I was trying to find my mechanics and the building blocks of being a pitcher. Most pitchers already know about the mechanics and aren't hindered by their 6'10" frame. That was the downside. But inevitably, I was thankful that I had a conversation with House and Nolan, and then from that point on, I was playing catch up, if you will, where other pitchers were already ahead of me because they already had the mechanics. I was trying to catch up to them in their ability to pitch, and now I'm learning how to pitch with the attributes that I have, my fastball and my height and leverage, and things started coming into place, and it was a lot of fun.
It's such a strange question to ask somebody who's number 2 on the all-time list, who just told a story about the guy who's number 1 on the all-time strikeouts list, helping unlock your potential in Nolan Ryan. That's incredible, Randy Johnson, but this is a simple question. If you were still pitching today where everybody's focusing on exit velocity and trying to swing over a shift and striking out much of the time, how many more strikeouts do you think you could have in today's game, Randy?
Well, I came close to 400 one year in one season. So I suspect that if they were letting me go out and pitch like I was in the 90s and the 2000s, where I was allowed to throw 135, 140 pitches in a game, I would probably get to that number. But unfortunately, in today's game, pitchers aren't allowed to go deep into the games simply because they're not allowed to throw that many pitches in a game. So
well, and then there's also the analytics, right? Third time through the order. I mean, would a manager ever be able to tell you, Piniella? I mean, I don't think he'd be that guy. Or it's such a different era, man. I mean, going up to Randy Johnson, saying, "Need the ball, Randy. It's a third time through the order, and your numbers are such and such a thing." I mean, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
And analytics are important. I'm not denying that, but I also don't want to deny the ability that a player may have that he never gets to because he's never allowed to stay out there and actually see what it's like to get through a tough situation and extend himself and see what it's like to get out of a situation that pitchers have been doing for over 100 years. And I think when you finally get in that position and you see that you're able to get through a situation like that, you get to the next level of pitching. And I think in today's game, there's not as many pitchers that are allowed to do that as there was when I was pitching. And I'm thankful that I was allowed to do that because then it made me grow as a pitcher. I think it allowed me to see what it took. This inning could take another 10 pitches, and I'm going to have to really bear down and focus. And I'm tired, and, hitters are coming up, and, I just think you gotta really bear down. And I think not being put in that position, pitchers never know what it's going to be like to get out of that position because a pitcher's coming out of the bullpen to relieve them and get out of that situation. So I think that's the one thing I take from today's game, that I just wish that there was a little bit more of a leash that was loosened for pitchers so they could go out and pitch and really grow as a pitcher.
Well, I know, and this is another odd question to ask somebody who's got damn near 5,000 career strikeouts, but it is baseball. Every pitcher always had some guy that would wear him out. Who was that guy? It was a long list. Oh, come on!
It really
seriously.
Was.
I mean,
as any pitcher would say, that's played 15, 20 years, over 20 years. Not everybody was a strikeout. I gave up a lot of home runs, and I gave up a lot of hits. And there's a lot of people that have that. If I met them, I would probably owe them a steak dinner just because they wore me out. Mike Piazza has good numbers off me. Chipper Jones has the most home runs off me. The list is long, and then it just all depends on how many at bats are you talking, like 10 at bats, 15 at bats. I mean, we could go all the way up to 20 at bats, 30 at bats.
So then I guess which one would it be where, you're going through your pitching plan or whatever before your game and you're like, okay, I know when this guy's up, it's going to be my who would be the guy that you were just like you don't want to see?
I can't think of any names right now, but like Mike Piazza or
you said Chipper. Chipper.
Chipper Jones, someone like that. I think you handle you respect everybody that comes up there. And you also realize that you're going to be doing damage control, too. They may get their hit. If they get their home run off you, now you got to bear down and either understand that the person, your nemesis, is on deck, and so you need to get the person out at the plate. So the person that comes up that your nemesis isn't, doing, you're trying to keep damage control in play there, I think. But yeah, I'm sure you got technicians there that could rattle off 10 people that probably are batting over 500 off me with more than 15, 20 at bats, and I think that's a pretty good number.
Of course it is. I mean, did you ever face Griffey? Did that ever happen where he moved on and you moved on? And
yeah, well, I mean, I played here in Arizona and
right.
I played with the Yankees, but more importantly, I here with the Diamondbacks, I was actually able to pitch a couple of times up in Safeco Field. When he was still in Seattle. I think I faced him like 3 times. We actually talked about that recently. Faced him and Edgar, who I consider one of the best hitters I've ever seen.
No doubt.
I think I got Junior out, and then I threw him a slider that backed up a little bit, and he said he hit his elbow. He told the umpire, so the umpire gave him first base, and I just looked at him, shook my head. like, come on, man. Stay in there. Let's stay in there. I'll throw you my best stuff. Let's see what happens.
I love it. Randy Johnson here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so you are one of the legends that fans can have a chance to play with in MLB the Show 22. Kurt Gibson, the 84 Kurt Gibson is going to be in the game. 2000 Carlos Delgado, who Delgaded a few times. Dontrelle Willis from 2005, and the version you're in this game with is the 95 version. You won your first Cy Young Award with the Mariners. Is that the version?
Yes.
Did you get a chance to choose which version, or you approved it? Could you get to approve which version of yours?
I didn't get to pick which version I was going to be, but I did help design what I was looking like. I mean, nice. I think I was in full mullet attire in Seattle by 95, so they had to get the mullet correct, and just the nemesis, and kind of like the pig pen, if you will, from Charlie Brown, with the big thing of smoke coming up around me on the mound and all that.
How does one tell them to get the mullet right? Walk me through that. It got to be a certain length. I mean, like,
well, I think they were showing me some top secret. Designs, some artist renditions, and I said, no, it's got to be longer. We're talking a mullet. Come on.
I love it. Just amazing. All right, we found out the guy who's got the most career hits off of you,
there
Randy
you go.
Johnson. We got it.
How many at-bats does he have?
How many at-bats, T.J. Jefferson? How many at-bats does he have?
I didn't see the at-bats.
We didn't say the at-bats. You just got the number of hits. I don't know. We don't have that number, but the number that we have is 20. 20 career hits against you. And
and give me 3 names, and I'll pick the person probably.
Okay, here we go. First name is, we'll go with Piazza, okay. And then Pudge Rodriguez, Paul LaDuca.
Paul LaDuca. Well, yeah, I faced all of them, but I think that Mike Piazza probably has the best numbers off me, so I'm going to say he's got 20 hits off me.
Actually, it's Paul LaDuca with Pudge being second. That's what we got here.
Really?
Yeah, how about that?
Well, so that's the top 3 hitters against me then, probably then.
What do you got
Pudge
there?
is first, LaDuca
Pudge is
second.
first and LaDuca's second. Okay, that's it. Pudge is first, LaDuca's second. There you go.
Well, there. Okay. Now, next time I do an interview and someone asks me who are the toughest hitters I've ever faced, well, I can say Paul LaDuca
and Pudge Rodriguez
and Piazza.
You're much welcome. You're welcome, Randy. I try to leave people in a better spot.
Thank you for that useless information.
Okay. Randy, that's what I'm expert at. That's why, I've been on the air since 96, the year after your first Cy Young Award, man. So that's how I've been able to stick around, is by making useless information somewhat useful. And then I guess now that there's no more pitchers being required to hit in Major League Baseball, do you know how many career home runs you hit, Randy Johnson? Do you know how many career home runs?
It must have been at least 15 or 20, I think.
I think you should take the under, Randy.
I'm sure you got your crack engineers on that topic.
I already have that information. It's written on a card. It's one time you hit one home run. You hit one home run in your career.
That's all?
That's
it must have been all the batting practice home runs I hit in various ballparks. Those didn't count?
I guess not. Did they not count?
Apparently not.
We got one. We got one.
All right.
Well,
at least I got one, right?
Yeah, it was in Miller Park on September 19th, 2003. So we'll call you on the anniversary of that.
How many home runs did I give up?
Oh, gosh. Ooh. You know, here's the crazy thing is, when we had Nolan on a few weeks ago, he's the all-time leader in walks, too, you know? I mean, Favre was the all-time leader in touchdowns for a while and interceptions thrown. I mean, when you've been at it such a long time, at the top of your game, you're bound to, lead in everything. So that's
it's like everybody will come up. How many birds did you hit? How many birds did you kill over 22 years?
Well, apparently same number of home runs you hit, Randy.
Yeah, but which was a greater feat?
Well, both were moving that you hit.
That's true. I put both of those in very high esteem. In my office here, I have the home run ball. In the other corner, I have a stuffed dove.
I don't know how you put it back together, Randy, and I don't mean the home run ball. I mean,
I have them both in my office. So and those are my two prized possessions. Prized possessions. The baseball and the bird that I hit.
The anniversary that just came up.
I don't even know where my Cy Youngs and my World Series trophy are.
Had to be real hard to put that bird back together.
Randy, I really appreciate the time, man. I hope we get to do this more often. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too.
All right.
Thanks again, sir.
Well, tell your security next time I come down there to let me in, even though I don't have an appointment. Yesterday, I got turned away. Security escorted me out of the building.
We got to make sure. We got to get on that. We'll make sure you get on that.
I guess next time maybe I need to bring like a baseball card and show them that I really am Randy Johnson.
Or a bird.
At RJ.
Bring the bird there.
At RJ51 Photos on Instagram to check out this man's work behind the lens. Thanks for the call, Randy Johnson. You're the man.
My pleasure. You guys be well.
Randy Johnson here on The Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.